It's 1939 and World War II breaks out in Europe. Within a couple of years, the global conflict spread southwards from China to Southeast Asia as the Japanese Imperial Army scaled up their offensives in the region, thus dragging in countries like Sri Lanka, known back then as Ceylon, which were at the time colonies of the British Empire. British casualties were evacuated from active war zones to the east and brought to Ceylon. This new dynamic changed the island from being mostly a shipping and trading hub into a crucial support base for the war effort. Colombo at the time was a developing port city and was also residence to almost all the people of prominence during that era. The Durdans property, located at number 3 Alfred Place, was one of many affluent colonial-style houses on the coast, and thus was commandeered by the British Navy to serve as a makeshift field hospital to perform surgical and medical care for its wounded troops. In 1945, Britain and its allies won the war, and thus having no further use for a military hospital, they hastily and unceremoniously abandoned it. 1948, Ceylon gains independence and the British abandon their erstwhile colony. Seeing a unique opportunity to fill a growing need in quality private healthcare, a group of young medical practitioners took up the helm of the British military's abandoned operation and incorporated it as Ceylon Hospitals Limited. The hospital retained the name Durdans, as that was the original name of the property, and having a historic link to the original Durdans mansion in Surrey, England. The first board was formed comprising of 5 founding directors: Dr. C.C. De Silva, who became the company's first chairperson; Dr. L.S.C. Mendes, who was appointed managing director; Dr. P. Kulasinger, Dr. C.L. Bartholomews, and Dr. C.L.X. Muthukumaru served as the remaining board members. Starting with fledgling facilities such as a one-man blood testing laboratory occupying a former office and a small nurses' quarters on the second floor consisting of a converted bedroom, Durdans Hospital grew, but was primarily a maternity hospital which welcomed the newest members of the community into the world. Upon further expansion, 1968 saw the opening of a new dedicated maternity care ward and outpatient department. The 1970s were right around the corner and brought with them very turbulent times. Ceylon, which became Sri Lanka in 1972, was undergoing the growing pains of a newly independent nation-state. Durdans Hospital became a frontline participant in the fallout from the violence. The nursing team risked life and limb, remaining steadfast in their responsibilities, working under stressful conditions while being heavily under-resourced. The coming years saw the establishment of a new pediatric ward, surgical ward, and operating theatre complex, as well as a radiology department. In 1986, at the behest of a young, persistent doctor at the time, Dr. Preeti Vijayagunawardena, an informal ICU was established with just 2 beds, and through over 20 years of hardship emerged a battle-hardened hospital with highly skilled and experienced healthcare professionals. It's now 1991, and something interesting happened. A new chairman was appointed, the youngest to be so appointed in the history of Durdans. Mr. Ajit Tudawa, who brought no medical experience to the role, however, brought something far more valuable: a vision.
Durdans management, under its able chairman, had a vision, and he fulfills that vision in stages.
Upon taking up the leadership role, he realized the road ahead would be long and challenging. In order to grow, one must first clean up the current operation. Using a very hands-on approach, he began the task of modernizing and streamlining the administrative functions of the hospital.
As an independent director, our views are sought in terms of challenging the current procedures and policies, and we can also dissent on some of the decisions the executive directors may be making. Another aspect which I admire is the patient care and the amount of emphasis at boardroom on this. Just to give you an example, the investment in the car park, which was over 1 billion rupees, one could argue could have been utilized to get a higher return, but the directors were adamant that patient care and convenience is paramount, and the investment went through. A lot of discussion and deliberations were had on Vision 2022, and a sizable investment is made. And here again, Durdans are seeing what is important in the future, not only from a building or a Durdans brand point of view, but also in terms of patient care.
The next 2 decades saw the organic growth of the hospital from a basic primary facility into a fully functional, modern tertiary hospital that provided a spectrum of everyday healthcare services to the public. In 1995, the first bold new strategic initiative was devised to introduce a dedicated heart center concept to Sri Lanka.
Lawrence Tudawa was one of my most trusted and respected friends. He headed a very successful construction business. Durdans became a household name for healthcare. Durdans was the first private hospital in our country to establish international standard heart center.
The heart center was started about 20 years back. In the private sector, there was no one who sort of originated the concept of total heart surgery, and Durdans was able to bring in this to the public in the private sector, and it was a tremendous success at that time.
The problem of financing was challenging, with very few private investors willing to risk such a bold step.
As the Durdans Heart Center was a pioneering effort of setting up a dedicated heart center in the country, private equity investors were asking for high rates of return, and it was a challenging time convincing them to come in at a reasonable rate of return.
I was invited to invest in Durdans a few years ago. I gladly welcomed the opportunity because I saw the oldest private hospital in the country and how patients visiting the hospital for day care or other services came away comfortable and happy that they received a fair deal.
And the results of Durdans in the consequent years was phenomenal. The Durdans Heart Center began a trail of success stories for Durdans, and it was indeed a quantum leap for the organization. In all 3 key financial indicators of the top line, bottom line, and net assets, Durdans have achieved a compounded annual growth rate of around 20%, which is well over the rate of inflation and indicates real growth.
In the case of Durdans, they give a fair return on the investors' money, but also it is ethical in its practices. Therefore, I did not have any hesitation in making an investment.
1996, Durdans formed a strategic alliance with the largest freestanding heart institute in Asia.
In establishing the Heart Centre, identifying a suitable partner was an important aspect. Chairman Chief Executive Mr. Ajit Tudave researched various parts of the world, particularly in our region and in India, to look at a heart centre which had a good track record of success and the right kind of blend with the facility that we had in Colombo.
This partnership enabled renowned heart specialists from India as well as support medical staff to cycle back and forth, performing cardiac surgeries in Sri Lanka, while at the same time training local medical staff with such procedures and equipment. The expansion did not stop there. In 1999, in order to meet the demands for accurate, reliable and quick results, Durdans Laboratories embarked on an island-wide expansion by developing its lab network under the leadership of Mr. Uppul Tudave, who headed the laboratory services and diagnostic unit at Durdans. In 2003, it was time to go public. Ceylon Hospitals became a publicly quoted company on the Colombo Stock Exchange. Durdans now was able to move ahead to the next step, the gold standard for healthcare in Sri Lanka. Quality standards were continued to be pushed to new levels, while services and equipment were constantly upgraded to be on par with the developed Western world. 2011, Durdan's 6th lane wing was completed and started serving the community. 2014, Durdans became the first hospital in Sri Lanka to be accredited with the Gold Seal of Approval by the Joint Commission International (JCI), which is the highest possible accreditation in healthcare delivery and an honor bestowed on world-renowned hospitals in the Asia-Pacific region and the USA. This was followed shortly by establishment of the Durdans Neurology and Neurosurgery Unit and a specialist rehabilitation and wellness center. The year is now 2017, and Durdans embarks on the Vision 2022 project. The Vision 2022 project sets out to transform the landscape of the hospital via extensive infrastructure development to an unmatched, purpose-built healthcare facility and dramatically increase the depth and breadth of the hospital's healthcare services. Upon completion of Vision 2022, Durdans will become one of the largest standalone private hospitals in the country, with patient care being par excellence, and occupying a total floor area of around 490,000 square feet of fully compliant infrastructure according to JCI and other global standards. Looking back, the journey has been one of immense growth, from humble beginnings to being recognized as a premium service provider with a heritage focused on quality patient care.
Durdans Vision 2022 will bring new dimensions to Medicare.
So the present financial crisis and political instability has brought a lot of challenges to businesses. but Durdans have continued its ethical journey and continued its success story.
And as of 2023, Durdan's net asset value has increased approximately 445-fold in comparison to the 1995 financial year.
I feel Durdans is poised to have a tremendous growth in the future because of the fact that Durdans is now fully equipped with all the disciplines that are required, including neurosurgery, orthopedic surgery, muscular surgery, which is more than any other hospital Durdans have.
So far, 6 chairpersons have held positions at the helm of the organization to guide the hospital to the purpose-built tertiary healthcare institution. And at no time in the past has Durdans ever compromised on quality and compassionate care.
Durdans have always believed in doing their share for the country and contributing to the growth of the country's economy. I have no doubt that Durdans will reach the pinnacle of the healthcare industry, not only in Sri Lanka, but in the entire South Asian region.
As of today, Durdans has medical services which are recognized by foreigners visiting us from different countries in the region in particular, seeking surgical and other services of medical care.
What I really value is the enterprise governance framework which is in place in all hospital companies.
Its business, I could say, is ethical and sustainable, which is very important today.
And it is going to be a very great success in the future.
Looking to the future and the challenges that lie ahead, Durdans prides itself as the standard bearer of healthcare in Sri Lanka. And despite it all, we at Durdans will always remain dedicated to you.